Tuli mu Parliament ya Uganda lunaku lwaleero. Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba yakulira gavumenti ya Kyagulanyi Center mu Lop Mathias Bwino ayanukula oba aleese rejoinder ye okwanukula oba okutereeza kujayo Bwino yennyini owa ddala kwa ripoota Minisita wa Museveni gye yaleeta mu Parliament juzi wano n'agisoma ku bannaffe abaabuzibwawo Kibalama John Bosco n'abalala 18 ko n'ensonga endala ze baawaayo kati n'aleese Bwino omukambwe. Olwaleero wandibadde nga weesiba enkuba n'onywera gwe wenna alaba kubanga ebigambo bigenda okusoba General Museveni luno tayinza kuluyitako tayinza kulwabuka abasajja bamwetegekera ate nga bamuteeka mu kkoona bamwagala luno tayinza kusimatukawo twaniraba ekigo kya dictator ng'agenda. Kale katugende mu Parliament.
Item 4, response by the leader of the opposition to the ministerial statement on alleged enforced disappearances of persons.
Honorable members, you remember that the leader of opposition brought a report to this house, laid on the table, and government was given 30 days. Government came back with a report. And when government came with a report, opposition deemed it fit to come with a rejoinder on what government presented. And now we are getting a rejoinder on what government presented. There is nothing new that is coming. It is basically a rejoinder on what was presented and what they feel was not correct or whichever. And we must finish this item today. We must finish. It is uploaded. Check in your eye.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. And I'll join you in the argument that this matter should have ended in earnest, should have ended yesterday. In fact, if the Minister of Internal Affairs tells me that the missing 18 are in the Parliamentary compound, I will seize ground and can meet them and we end it there and then.
Unfortunately, our Parliamentary compound is not a detention center. So ours is for parking our cars.
Definitely, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm alive to that. But as a matter of surrender, if he did so, I would go and embrace them and seize this ground. I thank you for the patience and everyone enjoying in this, Right Honourable Speaker. I understand the fact that the House is stressed over this matter, but even the nation is even more stressed, Right Honourable Speaker. The very reason this House of Parliament should find every reason to end this matter in a manner that the public does expect us to end it, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, before I delve into my response to the Minister's statement, I wish to state and remind ourselves of the role and duty of the legislature in situations like these. Right Honourable Speaker, Parliament, through its legislative mandate, molds the legal framework and shields the rights of every citizen, ensuring that the most vulnerable among us are protected and nurtured. Parliament, as the embodiment of the collective will of the people, brings human rights to reality. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, we must make it clear to everyone that our walkout and break from plenary activities was triggered by the continued indolence of government to address the most pressing and transgressing issues that affect our people and undermine their worth and dignity. That is something we couldn't withstand in an environment where our people's concerns are not prioritized. We demand answers, accountability, action taken, and redress for the violations, Right Honourable Speaker. The government should take full responsibility for its citizens as espoused in the international and national legal frameworks to which we subscribe, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, like the previous statements on the issue, the government has again taken a defensive approach to matters in which it is supposed to take a lead role in investigating and finding redress to the public outcry. It is not right and proper, Right Honourable Speaker, for the government to merely dismiss issues summarily without giving due regard to the overwhelming evidence presented at various fora. Besides the condescending style and language used in the minister's speech, Right Honourable Speaker, we have found his statement to be extremely disparaging, detached, and frosty to the victims and their respective families. It should stand rejected in its inadequate stance, Right Honourable Speaker. With a view to keeping our focus on the substantive issues, I will not respond to the assertions that are apparently intended to divert us, Right Honourable Speaker. On another day, we shall indulge in the figures and rankings of our country on an international scale, in as far as minorities are concerned. That's not for today. It is for now. Let us first discuss the issues of disappearances and arbitrary killings in which the government is not only implicated, but has also failed to conduct and present to the public comprehensive findings. I hope in that regard, the minister will be proud that the 18 missing persons are isolated incidents, not warranting state intervention. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I'm sure most of us were here at the return of multi-party politics in Uganda. I can certainly state that it was never the decision of the ruling government to reverse the movement system. It was the decision of the people, and this did not come on a silver platter. Most of us are not strangers to these processes. I know for a fact, like most of us do, that this has never dawned on the ruling party that other political parties and actors deserve space or even a right to advance their ideas and philosophies. Right Honourable Speaker, back to the human rights concerns we raised vis-a-vis the minister's statement, I must state at the earliest that no response was made to the issues we raised. The minister's statement was purely a political narrative, instead of giving the country a detailed and specific account of missing persons and remedy to their families. I would particularize the issues, Right Honourable Speaker, with their attendant titles. 1, failure to conduct investigations. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, throughout the web of denials in the minister's response, the most evident and striking attribute painted thereon is that no investigations were conducted at all. We are saddened by government's inaction in the face of these gross violations. Yet time is fast running. The victims continue reeling and harrowing in pain, despair, agony, and anguish. Clearly, if we continue with this lethargic approach, we will not get any answer from this numb and unresponsive government. Right Honourable Speaker, I will demonstrate subsequently
Order for what? Pardon?
Right,
Yeah.
Right, Honourable Speaker, you in your communication you actually made it clear about the conduct of members. It's the right honourable colleague, the leader of opposition, right to call that the government is actually numb and unresponsive. I don't think we are numb, and yet is responding. And yet the government actually presented a statement, and you are responding to the same statement that the government actually placed on the house. How is that being numb? We are not numb. The statement was given by the minister, which you are responding to. So is the leader of opposition in order to call this government numb and unresponsive? Thank you.
Honorable members, I wonder why you're raising your voices. We've agreed, let's use parliamentary language. And my brother Mpuuga, by the way, is one of the most disciplined persons. And I know you will use parliamentary language. Please use the parliamentary language for us to achieve what we want. But as far as I know, this team is not numb.
Right, Honourable Speaker.
Use another word, not numb.
Right, Honourable Speaker. I do concede to the fact that English is a second language to all of us. But I'm not numb to the feelings of members when I use a word not they are accustomed to. The other meaning.
Honorable Mpuuga.
The other meaning.
Honorable Mpuuga. Honorable Mpuuga, in the interest of peace, I know you're a peace-loving person. Get that word. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. These are your colleagues, your best friends. And I don't want you people to pretend like you're not friends. These are your best friends.
Right, Honourable Speaker. I want to assure the honourable member that the word numb is not insulting.
Please, I'm not telling you to defend.
It is descriptive of situations. And I want to invite members to be calm about, and they'll be free to respond to my statements, because
Honorable Mpuuga, Mathias, you're addressing one of your best friends. You're addressing one of your in-law or Mohozi, and you're telling your in-law you're numb.
Right, Honourable Speaker. I will recollect the phrase and paragraph where I use the word and try to hazard an alternative. Clearly, right, Honourable Speaker, if we continue with this lethargic approach, we will not get an answer from this government that is insensitive and unresponsive to the needs of the people. Under the law, right, Honourable Speaker, states not only have.
There's a procedural matter.
Madam Speaker, with due respect to the law, and the history says, Madam Speaker, need protection from the member of parliament from Nansana.
Okay. You did not carry that seat from Nansana.
Madam Speaker, history of this country, in all leaders of opposition, have ranked Honorable Mpuuga Mathias as the best Lop so far Parliament of Uganda has ever had since independence. Madam Speaker, basing on that, I don't know whether we are proceeding well by Honorable Mpuuga placing English words in jargon to disorganize us by not using the English language but the English, so that he calls the government a failure of the day. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether we are proceeding well.
Honorable Macho, I am aware that you've not worked with any leader of opposition during independence and whichever. I know you've only worked with the two leaders of opposition, 2 or 3. So anyway, Mathias addressed the House and addressed it with dignity, with the parliamentary language, and with respect for your colleagues, and respect for everybody.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I want to assure the House of my utmost considered respect, and I should not in any way and any terms be deemed to be disrespectful of colleagues. Right, Honourable Speaker, I desire that assurance rests with everybody's spirit. Right, Honourable Speaker, under the law, States not only have to refrain from intentional and unlawful deprivation of life, but must also take appropriate steps to safeguard the lives of those within their jurisdiction. In respect of the right to life, Uganda as a party is duty-bound to respect and ensure protection. It is imperative, Right Honourable Speaker, to note that it is an obligation of states to establish effective facilities and procedures to investigate killings and cases of missing or disappeared persons in circumstances that may involve violation of the right to life. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm going to lay a series of attachments after my presentation, and one of them is a reference to Article 2 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, to which Uganda is a party and therefore bound. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the responsibility of the state to proceed with an effective investigation is engaged, even when there is no evidence that agents of the state have been implicated in the killing or disappearance, and even if members of the victim's family or others have not lodged a formal complaint about the killing with the authorities. This is a duty. This duty is more stringent when the disappeared person was thus held in state custody. In such circumstances, it is incumbent upon the state to provide a plausible explanation as to the detainee's fate, as well as to ensure that some form of independent monitoring was undertaken. During the time we have been away, Right Honourable Speaker, from plenary, we have managed to reach out to families of the missing persons. Their revelations are quite touching and detail very well the state offices that they have approached and how they reacted to their approach. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm going to lay video evidence of this for your consideration, and will harm house property should there be need to make a reference. I'm going to lay them. In light, I will highlight some of...
You lay the video evidence after I've looked at it personally as the presiding officer.
Much obliged,
in my office.
Right Honourable Speaker.
Then you will bring it.
That's why I've not made a prayer to play it.
Okay.
But I'll make it available as house property.
Okay.
For your consideration. I will highlight some of the cases that clearly indicate glaring contradictions in the statement presented by the minister vis-a-vis statements obtained from the police, witnesses, and other state departments. I'll make a few highlights, not the entire 18. Let me sample for the House to make a judgment. Case 1 is that of Damulira John. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the minister has presented a report indicating that Damulira John is not among the people in government custody. Contrary to what the minister stated in his report, Damulira's disappearance was reported to police and an SD reference was obtained to that effect. I have indicated this, Right Honourable Speaker. Contrary to what the minister stated, Damulira's data is well captured with the NIRA and that number. He had a national ID and voter location slip. Right Honourable Speaker, we should also note that at this stage, that the case of Damulira John, just like many other cases of enforced disappearances, was reported to police, and the police was on record admitting his arrest and detention. On 22nd November 2020, Mr. Patrick Onyango, the spokesperson of Kampala Metropolitan Police, confirmed Mr. Damulira's arrest and several others on allegations of participating in protests around the Kampala metropolitan area, but denied torturing the suspects. And I quote him, "It is true, Damulira John is one of the people we arrested, but I cannot tell you where he and others are detained now. We did not torture any person. And as an institution, torture is prohibited as a form of interrogation. The Daily Monitor of 22nd November, quote Mr. Onyango, confirming detaining Mr. Damulya John. Right, Honourable Speaker. Damulya John's matter has been investigated by the Uganda Human Rights Commission, the Central Regional Office, and in a letter referenced, quoted, and dated 9th December 2020, addressed to the CMI, indicated that the Commission carried out investigation at Central Police Station in Kampala, and it was established that the victim, Damulya John, is being detained at CMI Kampala. Right, Honourable Speaker, that's correspondence between the Human Rights Commission and the Uganda Police. Right, Honourable Speaker, for your information and the information of members, the relatives of Damulya John on 11th January 2021 reported this matter to State House as well, when in turn forwarded the same to the Uganda Human Rights Commission for further management. I have attached correspondence between the police and the Uganda Human Rights Commission on the arrest of Damulya. Right, Honourable Speaker, invariably, this is a matter in dispute, and we have situated Damulya at CMI. But Honourable Speaker, John Bosco Chibalama, the minister denies knowledge of the holding point of John Bosco Chibalama, which contravenes what the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Nabanja, asserted during the press interview in the corridors of Parliament. She had this to say: but we are fortunate that Chibalama was traced. He was arrested, and recently in October, in a place called Ekiri. And he is one of those that killed. He came to have killed the police officers in Chiboga, Wakiso, and other places. Honourable Speaker, a missing person case for Chibalama was reported at Nakanyonyi Police Station under that reference, a day after his abduction on June 3rd, 2019, discrediting the minister's narrative that the family did not contact police for any remedy. Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the Deputy Attorney General, the Honourable Jackson Kafuzi, featured on NBS TV talk show The Frontline, and they tried to spin the Prime Minister and Honourable Nabanja's narrative by insinuating that the Chibalama she referred to is the founding member of NURP party, who is Moses Ngongo Chibalama. But Honourable Speaker and colleagues, when the Honourable Kafuz was challenged by the show host, who replayed the Honourable Nabanja's bite, he rephrased this statement and said she misspoke. I don't know what that means. Right, Honourable Speaker and colleagues, these ping-pong games by government officials should concern every right-thinking person. The attempt at this spin clearly shows how sections of the ruling party hold Ugandans in contempt and will not stop at anything to show disdain for them. The Prime Minister is on record of Parliament over her total knowledge as to the arrest and whereabouts of Chibalama, and we took her for her statement on record. Right, Honourable Speaker, Mr. Chibalama was fully situated. Top government officials are aware of his whereabouts and how they handled his arrest. Right, Honourable Speaker, the case of Mr. Wangolo Dennis, I am sampling a few for the attention of the House. Mr. Wangolo was picked from his workplace at Chebando tax stage and bundled into a drone alongside 5 others, namely Noagaba, Kateni Bernard, Samba Silas, Kasato, and Zimla Dennis. The abductees were taken to Kakiri Army Barracks, where they were tortured, and they fully released save for Zimla and Wangolo. This abduction was witnessed.
Excuse me, young, please first come back, huh? Come back. Sorry. I didn't want these leaders of Uganda to live without being recognized. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have pupils and teachers of Albert Cook Memorial School from Kasanda District, represented by Honorable Patrick Nsamba Oshabe. Please stand up. Your member of parliament, where is the Honorable Oshabe? And is your member of parliament is around, is just very busy. He's always very busy, but he's a good member. And represented by Nabagabe Kalule Flavia. Thank you so much for coming, and come again. Join me in welcoming them. Okay.
Right, Honourable Speaker, allow me to correct the record here in the names I read out. The names were Nwagaba.
Honorable, sorry for the interruption. I know these children are going very far. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have teachers and pupils of Aiden Nursery and Primary School from Nachifuma County, Mukono. They are represented by Honorable Simbwa. Where is Honorable Simbwa? And Honorable Anifa Nabukera. Honorable Nabukera, you're welcome. And thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Come again. And you have very good members. No.
Honourable Speaker, as praying to correct the record, I have put on the Hansard that the names were Nwagaba, Katende Bernard, Sambwa Cyrus Kasato, and Zimla Dennis. Sambwa Cyrus Kasato is one person, Honourable Speaker.
Okay.
The abductees were taken to Kakiri Army Barracks, where they were tortured, and the fall released the cell for Zimla and Wangolo. This abduction was witnessed by the area residents and an authoritative source, the Elson chairperson, Mr. Manje Richard. Honourable Speaker, neither records have proved the existence of Mr. Wangolo, contrary to the minister's claim that he is fictitious, that he has never existed. Last, Honourable Speaker, Mr. Semudu Michael Jackson. The kidnap case of Mr. Semudu was reported by his relative, Mr. Kafero Michael, at Old Kampala Police Station under that reference on 26th of November 2020. His credentials at NIRA show that he was registered under that number. Honourable Speaker, I sampled this to tell you, to settle the matter that the victims of disappearance were fictitious, and the prayer you shall make to this house subsequently will be to eventually have occasion to situate and locate the others and confirm their existence, including the video clips I'll submit for the attention of the House. Honourable Speaker, excuse me. Officials of government claiming responsibility for missing persons. Honourable Speaker, I also bring to your attention and that of the House that some government leaders, including cabinet ministers, such as the Honourable Judith Nabakoba, are on record claiming responsibility for some of the missing persons. During a church service at St. Andrew's Cathedral, Namukozi in Mityana, in the presence of the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Honourable Nabakoba said she was aware of some opposition supporters who were abducted during elections. And when the families of these people approached her at her home in Ikalangalo, she was able to secure their freedom, the freedom of the victims from Kireka SIU. She comes as a very useful witness in establishing the security layers involved in committing these heinous crimes. Right, Honourable Speaker. and I will submit her video and voice record on that matter, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in Nansana, one Yusuf Mugaga, an NRM leader, is implicated by the community in several abduction cases. He offered to secure the release of Mustafa Luemba's freedom in exchange for a fee from his relatives. He went on to produce Luemba's national ID to demonstrate that he knew where he was being held. Mr. Yusuf Mugaga has accomplices at room 18 at CPS Kampala building, where they coordinated the ransom and abduction conspiracies. The other officials implicated in the conspiracies are Champs Sub-County Giso, Mr. Swaib, Mr. Kafuma Twaha, chairperson of Kabembe, the former minister Ronald Chibule, and former RDC Freddie Bamwine, among others. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the House should use this information to interrogate the activities of these individuals and come to a conclusion as to their role, whether they are being helpful or conspirators. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on claims that security forces use reasonable force during operations, on countless occasions, security forces have been captured on camera, torturing and beating up subdued non-combatants. On November 6, 2022, heavily armed security operatives cruising a numberless Toyota Hiace minivan famously known as a drone sealed off Gladiator Paradise in Masanaf, Rubaga Division, where they indiscriminately beat up revelers who were watching a village football match. In the scuffle, Kavma Jamshid, a member of the security detail of the opposition NUP party president, was subdued, handcuffed, and shot as he inquired about the basis of his arrest. I referred the House to the BBC documentary entitled Drones, the Vans That Take People Away, dated 13th February 2023. I have attacked that record, Honorable Speaker. On November 18th, 2021, Honorable Speaker, Sheikh Chilevu, a Muslim cleric, was subdued as recounted by his wives, Amina Nabada and Sophia Nakachwa, handcuffed and shot dead. In sight of his children, despite peacefully submitting to the arresting officers to take him for prosecution. I refer the House to the URN report titled Family Disputes Police Narrative on Killed Sheikh Chilevu. Right, Honorable Speaker, the evidence of his killing was all over the place and the circumstances. On May 8th, 2023, Hamed Muyodi, an NUP supporter, was shot in the thigh inside a Toyota Hiace minivan that contained JAT officers who had come to arrest him for unsubstantiated allegations. The security officer who shot Muyodi was neither charged nor court-martialed as demanded by the law. But the Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesperson, Luke Owesegire, described the tragedy as an accident. Right, Honorable Speaker, we're waiting for a report of the occurrence of that accident inside the van. Right, Honorable Speaker, not forgetting the March 2019 extrajudicial murder of Ronald Sebulime, who was handcuffed and shot while in the custody of police in a police patrol, alongside several security-inspired terror against members of the Fourth Estate, the media, and the peaceful protesting media, medical interns, and doctors that have occupied a fair share of this year. The excess brutality meted out on minors found at the Kawempe residence of Sheikh Yunus Kamoga is still fresh in our minds, Honorable Speaker. Relying on some of these cited incidents, Honorable Speaker, therefore, I strongly reject the position of government that security forces use reasonable force when conducting operations. I therefore insist that our report highlighting the security excesses was factual and premised on precedents, accounts of witnesses, and other credible sources who preferred anonymity for fear of reprisal. Right, Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, on the issue of compensation talked about or mentioned in the report, it is on record that General Museveni pledged to compensate the bereaved families of some of the victims of the November 2020 riots, especially those he had categorized as non-rioters. 3 years later, nothing in that regard has been effected. He listed 3 names of the then missing 177 persons and directed his intelligence to publish the full list, a directive that has since been defied and downplayed. The report on November 2020 killings remains concealed from the public, to whom government should be accountable. Right Honorable Speaker, I have attached the record of the 2021 18 November Human Rights Watch report entitled 1 Year Later, No Justice for Victims of Uganda's Lethal Crackdown. I've also attached a video evidence of the Commander-in-Chief directing the publication of that list, which has never appeared up to now. Right Honorable Speaker, at the November 2022 UN Geneva Convention, the Attorney General of Uganda, the Honorable Chiwanuka, a man I hold in very high regard, lied before the delegates that they had compensated some victims of the protests, and they went on to cite Honorable Zake Francis and exiled NUP journalist Ashraf Kassidye as beneficiaries of the compensation scheme. On the contrary, the duo have publicly denied ever getting any penny from the government as compensation for the bodily harm they suffered by the hands of security. Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm on record that I was the attorney for Kassidye, and therefore his matter has never been compensated. His matter was handled by Justice Sekana, and the state has been playing games since. So it's never been conclusive, and so therefore no compensation. Mr. Speaker and colleagues, it is only through relentless efforts that some families of the deceased 15-year-old Amos Segawa have been awarded some meager compensation. Ms. Nachito, the mother, was awarded by Justice Musa Sekana 50 million shillings, which he complained to be too small for the life of her son, whose right to life was denied by the 2-day November 2020 shooting spree. So I further have attached the ruling in Ms. Jan's cause number 011122 of 2021, Hajito versus the Attorney General. It's full attached, Right Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, the claims that government has compensated the victims of the November 2020 protests are delusional and a naked lie that even the families of the victims can attest to. Therefore, it should not be kept on the record of Parliament, Right Honorable Speaker. Those who will come after us will never understand how we had that on record. Right Honorable Speaker, detecting registration number plates of vehicles with security missions. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I find totally impractical that the government, as by its statement, expects people to take records of registration number plates in tense circumstances when masked men, gunmen in drones have their fingers read on the trigger. In July this year, security personnel of the Chief Military Intelligence traveling in a drone shot dead a 34-year-old Jacqueline Narwanga, a resident of Nakabogo village in Wakiso district. The deceased was on her way to her garden when she found herself entangled in a security operation and was killed just because she was about to witness an abduction operation. This implies that even if she had taken a record of the security vehicle, she would have been unable to she would be unable to live to tell the story as a witness. I refer the House to the July 25th, 2023 Daily Monitor report, which I have attached, entitled "Army Stray Bullets Kill Woman Going to Her Garden." Besides, security is fond of switching registration number plates upon accomplishing their missions. Right Honorable Speaker, this was evident in the tenure of Major General Mzee Sabiti as the Deputy Inspector General of Government, Inspector General of Police, when his vehicle number plate was switched to a Toyota Hiace drone for an operation. This is the deputy IGP switching number plates. I don't speak. The police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, came out in defense of the saga and stated that it is their tendency as security to switch number plates depending on the magnitude of the operation they intend to conduct. I also reflect on the various by-elections like Omoro, Soroti, Bukedi, among others, where security forces concealed their vehicle number plates with cow dung to evade detection.
Were you in Bukedea to say that? Remove Bukedea from your list.
Right, Honourable Speaker, the House receives a record for their processing, and the House will take occasion to consider what they drop and what they keep with your indulgence.
Much as I'm not supposed to defend my district, I am defending Bukedea was not involved.
Right, Honourable Speaker, the House will take a record.
Yes,
and make a determination.
Yes,
Right Honourable, this is the House of Record, being Parliament. I rarely interrupt very decent men like Honourable Mpuuga. But listening to him and reading through, I'm wondering whether it's a rejoinder or a new statement. Because, and some of the people whom I don't want to put on record, like now, Bukedea, can he refer to which page did the minister indicate? Because rejoinder, you don't bring new things. But there are a number of new things that has been brought. Now, like on this one of cow dung and when a dung is on the number plate, you may not even know whether it's a human dung or a cow dung. Going into the specific, which page?
I am honorable Law. You're making a rejoinder on what the minister responded to. And in the report of the minister, I did not see my district. And I'm a woman member of Parliament for that district. I will defend it to the latter.
Honourable Speaker.
Let's talk about abducted people, because there's nobody abducted from Bukedea.
Honourable Speaker, the beauty is that I went to the same law school we went to, and we all understand the concepts of rejoinders. He's just trying to divert me from presenting this, and I know his game. He's serious at what he's doing, but I want to assure him that I'm equally serious.
Honorable Bukedea was not included. You withdraw Bukedea.
Right, Honourable Speaker. The whole idea,
Law.
That's why
you listen to your attorney. Bukedea was not involved. Let's not go into something.
Right, Honourable Speaker, for the sake of tranquility and peace, and to avoid interruption by who's deliberate on disrupting my presentation, we shall use the other examples and drop Bukedea.
So you've withdrawn Bukedea?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, no, yes, withdrawn Bukedea. Honorable members, let's wait. Honorable members,
Madam Speaker, I also want to go to court. No, Madam Speaker, I also want to.
Honorable members, Honorable Gwang, first sit. Honorable Gwang, first sit. All of you sit. All of you sit. All of you. And I'm reminding you this. If I see you standing more than 2 times, I'll get you out. Honorable Lop, as we've agreed, don't bring in some things that will anger some people. Let's talk about the 18 people, the shrinking in space, all those kind of things. You read your statement.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I want to assure the House that I'm very methodical.
And members, I'll give you time to debate. I'll give you members.
I want to assure the House that I'm very methodical. And if you really, if it does please you, Right Honourable Speaker, I would play video evidence of everything I'm talking about. Otherwise,
can we go to your report?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I can understand the discomfort
And I want
this rejoinder is bringing. Right Honourable Speaker.
There's a procedural matter.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the issue, Honourable OO raised a pertinent issue on the rejoinder. It's indeed procedural right that you give your ruling on the how rejoinders are done, so that this Parliament takes a precedent, even for the future, on how we can manage reports and counter reports.
Yes. Another one.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable, she has allowed me to speak. Right Honorable Speaker, we all have senior 6 or equivalent that allows us to be in this house, and therefore we understand the English. Right Honorable Speaker, what we expect as a house, that the leader of opposition should respond to what the minister presented on the floor of this house. That's what a rejoinder is. Yes, all of us have been to school. All of us have been to school. And nobody should attempt to take us back to school. So could you guide, Madam Speaker, that the leader of opposition restricts himself to respond to what the Minister of Internal Affairs presented on this floor? But when you start saying the Attorney General was in Geneva and so forth, you're on a fishing expedition. So we want your guidance over that matter, because we are keenly listening and we are going to respond. And we shall respond to what he has brought, not bring new issues. Not
Honorable members.
Issues, yes.
Honorable members. Now for you, just come. Your children were here looking for you. First, wait. Honorable members, the leader of opposition brought a report to this house, and government was asked to respond item by item. Now, after government responding an item by item, where they felt they were not satisfied with what government responded to, strictly on what was brought on the floor. Strictly on what was brought on the floor. A rejoinder is a response to the response that was given. So the rejoinder that you're giving is responding to what General Muhoozi gave, and strictly should be to what General Muhoozi gave. Not bringing in the issues of Bukede, Kaodam. Was that?
Guidance, Madam Speaker. Guidance, Madam Speaker.
Yes, you're conflicted.
Me?
Yes, you first sit. You're making a guidance on my ruling. Okay, let me give Nwagaba to speak, not you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank you for your ruling. In a rejoinder like the leader of opposition is making, you are not limited to responding strictly to the response by the other party. But you can, in responding to that response, you can expound. And what the leader of opposition is doing is just expounding when he is rejoining.
Can I have Kiror? Kiror?
I want to.
Kiror?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want really, you know, when we go to law school, we should not apply the law, understanding of the law selectively. If we choose
to what benefit?
To what benefits you? That would be very mean of us. We have beings, you can be senior, but you have not read the law and understood. You get it? You see? Right, Honorable Speaker, I think let's apply the rejoinder in the strict sense. We have chosen to use the word rejoinder. If an application has been filed and somebody has done a reply to that application, and the court gives you the latitude to do a rejoinder, it is not to open the Pandora box. No, you rejoin to certain specific issues which have been raised in the response, which you want to clarify on. But you don't broaden it. And those are the rules.
Honorable Fox.
I thank you. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Can I have silence?
Right Honorable Speaker, matters of human rights should never divide us. We should all speak with one voice when it comes to matters of human rights. And we should be candid, we should be honest, we should be truthful. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Nwagaba was 1 year behind me at law school. I have known him for a very long time. And the Honorable Nwagaba knows that a rejoinder is restricted to matters already canvassed. The matters must have been dealt with, and you only rejoin to matters that were raised. Right Honorable Speaker, the law.
Fox, is there a difference between a reply and a rejoinder?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
Because what he's talking about is a reply.
Right Honorable Speaker, you are absolutely right. And what we are dealing with this afternoon is a rejoinder. The Lop, whom I respect immensely, should do us a favor and restrict himself to the matters that the Minister for Internal Affairs raised. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, when you're making a reply, you often suggest and make a thorough response for one to believe whatever you're saying. You can even go beyond what was mentioned. That is a reply. But now when you look at a rejoinder, it is restrictive to what was raised, the objective of what was raised. Honorable Lop, why don't you give your response to what was raised?
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you. Actually, I can confirm. I can
tell you to stand up.
I can confirm, Right Honorable Speaker, that many a member did not read the minister's statement. In fact, the subtitles I am offering in my rejoinder are picked from the minister's statement. I can confirm they did not read it.
You respond to the minister's statement.
And I am surprised that they are supplying a diversion to this house. Each of these subtitles is picked from the minister's statement.
You respond to the minister's statement.
Yeah, and I would like members to really pay attention. And I'm trying to look for the source of the discomfort, and I'm not getting it. Honorable Speaker.
Please go ahead and reply the minister's statement.
Honorable Speaker.
It's on page 11. You tell them the page where you are.
Trying to remind members that the subtitle I was handling is titled Detecting Registration Number Plates of Vehicles in Security Missions, because the minister said that the public is duty bound to detect and report car number plates. And I am reporting a serious disability to the public in detecting these car number plates. Is that an import? No. It's not an import. So, Honorable Speaker, I am responding in very strict terms so that the House can understand the factors under which the minister's demands of the public are improbable and out of space. Honorable Speaker, the BBC documentary entitled "Three Killings in Kampala" clearly showed clues on the police vehicle that was involved in the murders along Kampala Road in the Central Business District, which is dotted with cameras. If the security cared to apprehend the crew on UP 99917, it was upon them to rely on the CCTV footage to trace the movement of this particular vehicle. The police have the capacity and infrastructure to revisit the CCTV records of November 18th to 20th to detect the route of the killer patrol cited in this documentary. I am privy to the fact that, Honorable Speaker, the same security operatives heavily relied on these CCTV records to trace for suspected protesters, as well as crack down on MOP activists who would later on be disappeared by drones. It is therefore deliberate that security does not track its own errant personnel despite the presence of CCTV equipment to do so. The last time we checked on the killer patrol, UP 99917 was stationed at Katwe Police Station in Kampala. The Internal Affairs Minister should be able to effectively use this information. Honorable Speaker, alleged uncooperative attitude of relatives of the missing victims. Honorable Speaker, the government indicates that their recently deployed team of detectives disguised themselves as an NGO to retrieve information from the relatives of the missing persons. The minister did not satisfactorily delve into the ingredients of what their intelligence NGO obtained from the bereaved families of the missing 18. The details of the identity of the NGO are a mystery, and so is the said report, which I would so wish to be tabled before Parliament, Honorable Speaker. The people have always been free to share information, their despair and the agony they are going through in search of their beloved ones, to the extent of visiting the perpetrators at CMI, international bodies like the defunct UNHRC, State House, political party offices, and UNHRC. In the course of seeking redress, Honorable Speaker, they have shared confidential documents and even spoke to the media. I invited the House to follow the documentary, The Missing 18, authored by my office, and I have also attached video evidence to ascertain the existence of these families and their willingness to testify to their missing loved ones. Honorable Speaker, prosecuting errant officers. The government has been deliberately declining to prosecute errant security officers who commit atrocities, but instead elevates them in rank. Because, Honorable Speaker, this response is in part to respond to the minister stating that they have been acting on their errant officers. And we are saying not at all. Instead, they have been promoting them. And by doing so, promoting impunity. For instance, former Masaka RPC Enoch Abaine, who shot and injured the journalist Aleese Bwino, was transferred and promoted to the environmental police in Luzira. The same Abaine is known to be a Ritho with blood stains in his hands. During the 2017 age limit rally held in Rukongeri, Abaine allegedly shot a 19-year-old man. Instead of being interviewed for his deeds, he was in 2018 transferred to Mackay University and promoted to Chief Security Officer. The famous 2011 walk-to-work-based tormentor, Inaitwe Gilbert, was promoted from ASP to Superintendent of Police, Right Honorable Speaker, as a highlight. Right Honorable Speaker, the command of the infamous Kasese killings, the one Peter Rail was elevated from brigadier to general, and even sits comfortably with us in Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, CMI Captain Iwan Bashir Mango, who in January 2022 shot and caused the leg amputation of a traffic police officer, Robert Mukebezi, remains at large, and the EPDF is hesitant in prosecuting him. In fact, the defense spokesperson, Brigadier Fred Kulaji, said they were unable to track down Captain Mango. So he remains at large. As the example, Honorable Speaker, as to how impunity is promoted, the ministers claim that the police driver of truck number UP 4841, constable number 39975, Mr. Aktil Nasasira, was apprehended at baseless, as none of the relatives of Rita Nabukenya, who the minister named Nabukera, was informed as required by principles of law and natural justice. The people who witnessed the accident were not interrogated for statements. Police did not go to Malago Hospital, where the deceased's remains were conveyed. Nabukenya's death was a matter of public interest that should have attracted ample press coverage, but there is no record of the said arrest of Atikulu Nasasira. Right Honorable Speaker, that family never received the information. They remain agitated that the police government neglected their plea to apprehend the killer of their daughter. Right Honorable Speaker, pre-trial detention. The norm of lengthy detention has become synonymous with the NRM government, Right Honorable Speaker, especially whenever an opposition political activist or Muslim terror suspect is arrested. We established the reason behind these prolonged detentions is to enable the torture victims to have ample time for their physical injuries to heal. We evidenced this in the case of our NUP supporter in Kasese, Samuel Masereka, and of course, exiled Ugandan novelist Kakwenza. When their wounds sustained from torture recover, they are presented in court. Though the government report attributes pre-trial detention to the limited human resource in the judiciary, it is illogical and deceitful. We have witnessed situations where high-profile cases involving ministers and government officials, they were cited in the Karamoja Initiative saga, speedily tried. Yet the same criminal justice system has many times tried the opposition activists after spending more than 48 hours in police custody and safe houses. For instance, Damshid Kavman and his colleagues, who were abducted on November 6, 2022, were lined in Mwanga 2 court a month later in December 2022, after a writ of habeas corpus was filed compelling security officers at CMI to panic and drop him at Old Kampala police station. Allegedly, Right Honorable Speaker, a one Swaiman Jakana Naduli was detained in September 2022 at Makindi military barracks for a prolonged period prior to his alignment in the court in Nakaseke. The detention, according to his family members, deprived him of access to his specialized medication, which eventually caused his death. Right Honorable Speaker, our findings established that 12 of the persons who were reported missing were arrested on suspicion of having committed several offenses and were either released on police bond or court bail. UHR stated in their report, we are quoting now the UHR report, that was equivocal in their findings. We also informed the House that the UHRC chairperson, Ms. Mariam Wangadia, is on record disclosing her fears and insecurity after asserting that her colleagues carry firearms to in-house meetings. Right Honorable Speaker and the honorable members, how do we be convinced that an insecure chairperson is in the right state of mind to investigate other people's rights violations when her own rights are in contention? Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of political prisoners in custody, there are dozens of political prisoners languishing in custody on charges that the state has deliberately failed to conclude due to inadequate evidence. For example, Olivia Lutaya, and dozens of opposition NUP supporters are still facing off with the court-martial, despite a 2021 Constitutional Court ruling that annulled such trials. On 15th December 2022, Right Honourable Speaker, court ruled that all those persons not subjected to military law and are currently being tried before any military court are ordered that their files be transferred to the civil courts under the direction of the DPP, Right Honourable Speaker. This directive has, however, been disregarded to date, with political prisoners continuously facing an endless trial and all their bail attempt thwarted, despite presenting substantial sureties, who include blood relatives and credible leaders. We call on the Minister of Justice to explain to the country why the General Court-Martial is contemptuous to the Constitutional Court ruling on trial of civilians. I refer the House to the Constitutional Court petition number 44 of 2015, retired Captain Amos Biarugaba and others versus the Attorney General, Right Honourable Speaker. I have attached that ruling, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I bring to your attention the fact that dozens of NUP supporters who merely wore a party red beret have been subjected to a lengthy pre-trial detention at the hands of the court-martial without any incriminating evidence. But on the other hand, ADF suspects, Jamil Mukulu, alleged to have killed dozens of students at Chwamba Technical Institute in 1988, and Dawood Rashid Shoto, alias Sinjovu, alleged to have killed tourists at Queen of the National Park, are facing trial in civilian courts, Right Honourable Speaker. Is this duplicity? If not miscarriage of justice, Right Honourable Speaker, what should we describe this to be? For a criminal justice system to subject NUP supporters exercising their political right to a court-martial on one hand, and try ADF terror suspects in a civilian court on the other hand. Right Honourable Speaker, detention without trial. The Commissioner General of Government Prison, Right Honourable Speaker, Mr. Johnson Bashaija, recently decried the influx of prisoners on remand that have overwhelmed the prison system, the prison service cells. According to the UPS, out of this 76,367 inmates, 39,453 are convicts, while 36,422 are on remand, status of detention without trial. The law clearly stipulates that prisoners should spend at most 180 days on remand, an equivalent of 6 months. But unfortunately, the majority of inmates, including NUP supporters, illegally under court-martial, have spent more than that time. I will symbolically, Right Honourable Speaker, cite Abudu Matovu, who was abducted from his workplace in Kampala in 2020. His mother, Ewana Kabuye Hadija, and father, Mwalimu Kabi Bukenya, resident of Bukana village in Nakagongo Parish, Matete Sub-County in Zimbabwe district, revealed that their son is rotting in Chitaria prison without undergoing any trial. Right Honourable Speaker, since 2020. Right Honourable Speaker, institutionalized Islamophobia. Right Honourable Speaker, the minister says the Ugandan prison service statistics reflect 16.4% of Muslim inmates, 29.5% Protestants, and 43.1% Catholics, which is obvious given the numerical setup of Christian faith, even the national census figures. But our area of concern, Right Honourable Speaker, is the deliberate campaign to depict Muslims as usual treason and terror suspects each time there is a high-profile murder. I am much alive to the fact that most terror suspects with the pending cases at the High Court International Crimes Division are Muslims, Right Honourable Speaker. There have also been persistent raids on madrasa schools, notably Imam Raida Islamic School in Buloba in 2023, and the Kamoga Home Rehabilitation Center, where heavily armed security officers were filmed torturing Muslim minors in 2023, among others. Right Honourable Speaker, without necessarily having to belabor the House, I have provided a chronology on page 15 of assassinated sheikhs without killers identified or tried successfully. Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker, page 16 offers this clear chronology of sheikhs and imams that have been killed, and at every moment, the immediate suspects are Muslims. It is worth noting that in all these cases, the courts have not convicted any single individual. Right, Honorable Speaker.
There's a procedure.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker. On this report or rejoinder, when you analyze the attached documents, especially the national IDs, and the vehicles alleged to be kidnapping, you can neither read the number plate nor read the national IDs of the people alleged to be kidnapped. Are we proceeding right? Depend on documents that cannot be.
I have not yet allowed the laying of the documents. We will verify the documents before they are laid. And even whatever is on video, I will first watch in my office before it is laid. So we'll look at them. Whatever is not clear, we shall not lay. Yes.
I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My understanding of what the leader of the opposition is putting across in response to what the minister said with regard to identification of the kidnapping or offending vehicles is exactly what the Lop is explaining. That you cannot, because these people disguise themselves. And I thought it would be a matter of interest for government to know how to get those criminals that probably would be tarnishing the government image. Would it not be procedurally right that you guide colleagues first to listen to this and interrogate the issue? As Honorable Fox-Odoi said, a matter of human rights should actually, the NRM side should be more interested in this than us. Because tomorrow, you are the ones who will be looked at as Idi Amin.
Honorable members, it is to the best of our interest, all of us. Whatever we are discussing now, we are representing the people of Uganda, not individuals. When you talk about no, for me, no votes for me. It doesn't vote for no. So those are still my voters. Those are your voters. And you can't know, there's nothing written anywhere that this is a noble person, this is FDC, this is NRM or whichever. These are Ugandans and human beings, and we are here to represent the people of Uganda. And when we are here, we should learn to speak one word. When we're in this house, and I will tell you, government, we need to promote the rule of law. Yeah. We need to. Yes.
Thank you for your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to assure the House, for example, that in one of the family visits we made, some of the families of missing people are actually NRM supporters. So we are pursuing this without recourse to color or creed. We are only pursuing justice for these families, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on page 7, I'm providing cases where high-profile officials were assassinated and the Muslims arrested enemies. I don't have to read through the detail, but I'm quoting March 7, 2017, the assassination of the former AIGP Andrew Kawesa, Felix Kawesa.
And members, I want you to know one thing. Most of these things are inherited, because I don't think any of you was in the house in 2017. We are inheriting some of these things, but we must discuss them. Me, I was not here.
I am also quoting the June 21 attempted assassination of our friend General Katumba Wamala. I'm quoting the September 2018 assassination of ASP Mohammed Chirumira. I am quoting the twin bombings of 2021. Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted the minister to understand why we said that there's a targeting of Muslims, to which all of us as leaders, we must really have our eyes open and see whether it is really a matter away from our scrutiny. Honourable Speaker, on the issue of violations of human rights in fishing communities, the UPDF has, out of impunity, continued to terrorize and blatantly torture fishermen.
Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba yakulira oluvuganya mu Parliament era yakulira government ya Kyagulanyi mu Parliament ensonga azitemye n'azikuba ku mmeeza naye zibaleeseemu akajagalalo anti bukyayogera kibafumita kati tebateredde batidde omuliro gwabaleeseeko naye byonna tulina kuba tubikuwa tulina okubituusa ku ntobo yaabyo bakyasaaga n'okusaaga guno omuliro gwosha gye kinaggwera onoowulira kale kankumulemu katono naye nga tukomawo n'ebirala bingi Mungu nsaba nkuumire mweraba.